Good evening, Polysthetic fans! Welcome to the Andromedoom devlogs, episode 0. My name is Alan, aka Polysthetic, and in this video series I'm going to be cataloging my first attempt at building a commercial grade mobile video game in the Godot engine. In this episode I'm going to briefly introduce the project. I'm going to discuss what I want to get out of this video series, and finally I'm going to explain why I chose the systems that I did, why I chose Godot over Unity and why I chose C# over GD script. So Andromedoom. Andromedoom is basically Space Invaders in 3D. The main inspirations that I'm drawing from this game are the Nintendo DS game Big Bang Mini and the indie PC game Revenge of the Titans, the tower defense game from the Humble Indie bundle. Let's switch over to the mobile screen and I'll give you a rundown of the prototype that I built. Okay. So the first thing that you can see is the Minecraft inspired screen with the start button. This will take us to the map selection window, which will give a hint for what I want to get out of the game. Multiple levels over the major cities on Earth. Now you can see that Tokyo was grayed out, but Sydney was green. So this is the Sydney level. As you can see, you've got touch controls for the camera, the joystick on the left, and the fire button on the right. If you hit an alien, you get an explosion with camera shake. You've also got an aiming laser, which turns red if you are under a shield, or turns green if you are underneath an alien. If you get hit or an alien lands, you lose the level. Now the aim of this level is to score 20 points. At that point the aliens will stop spawning. Once you've cleared all the aliens, the Tokyo boss level will be unlocked. So I will pause and skip ahead until the Tokyo level has been unlocked. Took me a few tries, so it is quite a challenging game. Now when the big Eater of Worlds inspired boss starts spawning, you actually can't damage him until he is fully spawned. And once he's fully spawned, the head will actually aim for the player, rather than shooting randomly, as per the other aliens. If you strike segments, they will shoot downwards towards you, so you can't stay in one spot. When you hit a middle segment, that segment will split the worm into two, and you'll have two heads to deal with instead of one. So as you can see, the difficulty does ramp up as you fight the boss. Now once the level's clear, I've got the message to myself, onto the real work. Prototype complete. As you can see, very simple game. Golden rule of game development: for your first project, keep it as simple as possible. It's not my first prototype, but it is probably the one that I can take to a completed product within a reasonable amount of time. Say about a year or so, according to the program that I put together. The hook of the game is not so much in the innovation of the mechanics, but rather the personal style that I'm putting into the game. The graphics, the designs, the game juice, and the sense of challenge. I do intend this game to be quite a challenging one to play through. So let's talk about why I'm choosing the Godot game engine. And the primary reason, the reason I decided to try out Godot for the first time, was that it's open source. And in my opinion, open source software always has the potential to eclipse proprietary software. We've seen this first and foremost in Blender, which in my opinion has really come to surpass the likes of 3ds Max and Maya, and is very close to the quality of Cinema 4D in the latest versions. So that's why I went. But the reason I stayed, its node system. Godot's node system is highly intuitive, flexible, easy to use, in contrast to, say, what I was previously familiar with, which is the Unity system, where scenes, game objects, and components which go on game objects are all completely separate and handled separately. Under Godot, everything is a node, and every group of nodes is called a scene, and the interchangeability of nodes and scenes is very easy to learn and very easy to maintain. The final consideration for choosing Godot was its portability and its size. The software is compact, easy to move around, easy to switch versions, and easy to import and export engine-specific assets. Now I'm going to be building this project in C# rather than GDScript. Now there are 3 reasons for that. The first is transferability. C# can be used to build Windows apps, it can be used to transfer to the Unity game engine. Building with C# would make one more comfortable with statically typed languages and the strict syntax of the C-derived language families. Second reason is to port over users from Unity. Our Unity uses almost exclusively C#, so if there's a indie game dev out there who's curious about the Godot engine and stumbles upon my tutorials, I might pull him over onto the Godot side and find another potential developer to improve the engine. And the third reason is that on YouTube there are plenty of GDScript tutorials already. It is the default language of the Godot engine. It is what it was built for. As a result, for me to distinguish myself on the platform, I would have to offer something different. I have seen a few small channels that work with Godot and C#, but they have not been updated in quite a while. Now, one advantage that is often discussed when picking C# over GDScript is performance. From what I've heard, it's anywhere between 4 to 10 times faster to use C# because it is compiled down. In my opinion, I don't think this is a good consideration for a beginner. I don't think Godot is as an advanced an engine such that performance is going to be a huge consideration for the game that you're building. And the other reason, of course, is that GDScript is engine specific, so it is already optimized for that language, while it is not optimized for C#. Now let's discuss why I chose to leave Unity behind. Now I think it's probably the best game engine out there still, but I had previously built this prototype in Unity 2020, I think, and a subsequent Unity update broke the compatibility. That is my first problem with Unity. It is the version control system. Now they did try to remedy it with the Unity hub, but all I see is more bloat, more things to manage. So I don't want to deal with proprietary software's version systems. So the second reason is because it's proprietary, the way that packages are dealt with through the inbuilt asset store is frustrating. Even though I intend on building everything myself, the restrictions on importing and exporting engine-specific assets is quite annoying. And the third reason, and this is quite a big one, the last time I had used Unity, it could only support C# language. I believe it was 4 or 5. Not sure of the exact version, but the reason this was a problem is because a lot of modern language features, such as tuples, things like that, were not supported in Unity because it could not support the most recent version of C#, which, although not deal-breaking, did make a few things unnecessarily more difficult than they needed to be. Let's discuss the format of these video series. So the first handful of videos I intend on being tutorials with a devlog of the main game spliced on the end. The tutorials will show you how to build the prototype I just showed in this video from scratch. And the intention is, after the prototype has been built, if I see any information of value where I can build a tutorial that will help other Godot users, I will do so. I will continue with that format, with a tutorial and a devlog put on the end. So I will be using Godot with Windows 10, and I'll be using Visual Studio Code as my IDE, and I will be developing for a Samsung Galaxy S10, so the Android platform. So if you would like to follow along, maybe first watch a few videos, see if you like the format of this series, get a feel for what value you can get out of this video series, and then make sure you get the Godot mono version, set up Visual Studio Code, and get the Android build package. Make sure you can run it on your touchscreen device, or the iOS package if you want to try it on iOS. Now I don't intend on making a tutorial about how to get Godot up and running with C#, Visual Studio Code, and exporting to Android. There are quite a few guides on the internet which probably explain it better than I do. However, if it is requested, I can do one, so let me know what you think. If this project is successful, and when I say successful, I just mean a small handful of people download the game and play it and provide some feedback, and people enjoy the video series, then there is no shortage of future game development projects up in here that I would love to take you along with me. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, suggestions, general comments, please put them in that little box down below, and I'll see you in the next one.